Okay, so the filter's changed on the white and I'm yet to bleed that through, and the overflow pipe on this one is slightly different because this one has a return system. Now, what ends up happening is you've got a bleed system there, so any gas in from the tank goes through there into the waste ink bottle there. I've got this bagged up for purposes that it's just easier. Now, this is the tube. So what happens is here is any waste ink that is pumped. So effectively it goes from the pump, from the tank to the pump, then from the pump to the filter, from the filter all the way to the head carriage to the secondary ink tanks, both sides, and then there's a return from the secondary ink tanks all the way back here to this return here, and this is the return restrictor. Now this pipe has a restrictor system in it already, that silver thing there. It's just going to get into focus. Let me put my finger there. So this is a restrictor there. So what happens is the pump is pumping at 100%. However, because that is connected to the filter, and the filter has a the top of the filter there, the vent of the filter, which is this bit here, if you can see, it's connected to the top of the filter. The pressure that builds up in this line here, some of it leaks back along this pipe back into the bottle. So that stops any overpressure, and it standardizes the pressure that goes to the print heads, now the secondary ink tanks. Now the other bypass, the other aspect of that is that also returns back to the tank, but you've also got the return valve along the same line through this white connector here, and that end is connected at the moment to this bottle. Now what we want to achieve here is we want this fresh ink all the way to the heads, then returned all the way back to this bottle there. So we are now having fresh ink, because we're changing the ink. We want this chemistry all the way to the heads and back again, but we don't want to mix the old chemistry with the new. So we have that waste in there, and we've put 2 litres in there, and once we've got a litre there, we know that this holds around half a litre. So by the time we've had a litre in, there's plenty of it flushed through, and this ink that we sell is compatible with the ink from VUTEk as well. So we have no issues with it joining, but we do have an issue. Sorry, we do have an issue with it mixing in the reservoir, which is not what I'd like to do. So as such, we now bleed the filter, so there's fresh ink into the filter, and then we disconnect that pipe, and that pipe there then will have full pressure going to the heads, and it won't be wasting any excess pressure going into there, which is what can happen. We don't want that to happen. So we're leaving this one off. The other one we leave on because the pressure is just going to return back to the tank and there's no return system. However, on the white, I particularly don't want the inks to mix back in there. I want them separate. So that is the new ink. That will be the old ink and the waste. And we don't note, once we've bled the filter, we disconnect it, and that will stop any ink from coming out. Okay, so the very first thing we do is we take this filter off here, to leave this pipe dripping into this bag. We're saving the spillages. Connect this filter to the end of the syringe. It's got a lure connector on there. Pop that into the valve, and you can hear that. I can hear it slightly, but I can feel it as well. Now that's drawn up air from the ink bottle into the filter. Let me just... You can feel these things more than you can hear them sometimes. there is one step that I failed to add. So this has been one syringe so far. So now that's been the second syringe. So these syringes are 60 millilitres, but we're sucking this with the syringe. So I'm expecting, there we go, some ink's coming through now with a little bit of air bubbles. There we go, let that come through a little bit more. And this is now bled. So that's on there. Take that connector off. I do apologise, I didn't fail to add this. So this elbow connector here is a quick release, and that little nipple on the end prevents the ink flow when it's disconnected. That pops onto the pipe there, like that. Now we take that off because we're going to put that waste bottle straight in the tank. Now, the problem is, when we have the return coming through, some of that might come down into this filter here. So we want that filter in the bottle too. We don't want too much mess. So those two things there go in that bottle, and this stays to one side, ready to fit once we're happy that all the ink has gone through the system and come back out and we've got fresh, new, clean ink on there.